Yes, you read that title right. In today's episode, we check out a 1961 Pre-CBS Stratocaster. To complete our three-part series on vintage guitars, today we're looking at the iconic Fender Stratocaster. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Guys, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury drum machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Ben Keightley, and today I have the utmost pleasure of showing you a beautiful 1961 Pre-CBS Stratocaster. This one comes in the lovely Sunburst, and it looks just like John Frusciante's Strat. So I can't wait to show you everything about this awesome guitar today. Before we get into the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to these videos, and make sure to hit the notification bell to be notified when we make a new video, and make sure to leave a like if you're enjoying the video. So this has been lent to us by a good friend. It's the same friend who also lent us the Burst and the 335, so this is kind of the third part of this vintage guitars series. Obviously, the Fender Stratocaster is one of the most iconic guitars ever made, and I was very excited when I first saw this guitar. And it came in its original case, which was absolutely battered, and it's very funny to see one so aged, as obviously the Fender Custom Shop reissued these cases exactly, so it was very interesting to see an original one. So first off, let's talk about the specs of this guitar and the kind of mystique about these guitars. Obviously, it's a pre-CBS guitar. So what does it mean by pre-CBS Strat? This basically signifies the golden era of Fender instruments before they were acquired by CBS in 1965. When CBS then acquired Fender, the kind of quality of the guitars seemed to drop. They changed the designs up, they cheapened the kind of manufacturing techniques of the guitar, and they started to use less desirable materials. But pre-65 and pre-CBS, the Stratocasters are in their golden era. So in this case, we've got a 1961, obviously pre-1965, so it's a pre-CBS Stratocaster. These have all the kind of desirable specs. I much prefer the 60 spec to a 50 spec. Obviously you get the rosewood board, the 3-ply guard, and I think just overall it's just more of a advanced design of the Stratocaster, and it looks a lot more visually pleasing. So first off, let's break down the specs of this beautiful Stratocaster. So we have an older body on this one. This particular example has a very nice mineral streak around the tremolo area, which really makes it a unique example. And then going on to our neck, we have a maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard. Very simple kind of Fender construction. It's a 4-bolt construction, as you'd find on all Stratocasters of this era. So one of the main things about a pre-CBS Strat is the neck profile. So the 1961 Stratocasters often have a soft V neck profile. However, each of these neck shape could vary in this year, as obviously these were handcrafted instruments, so every guitar is going to be a little bit different. This makes the neck feel slightly rounded with a subtle V shape, which was very comfortable for many players at the time. The necks were typically made out of maple, and the fingerboard was made out of rosewood. In this year, sunbursts were very common. The three-tone sunburst, which the 60s is famous for. You have a really nice dark border going into almost kind of like a reddish orange, and then going into like a natural amber. However, there was some metallic finishes in this year. You could see Lake Placid blue and Fiesta red and white. These were custom colors done in the 60s to kind of go along with the marketing of car brands at the time. So they were using big bold colors to advertise their guitars. However, this was a lot more rare than the 60s sunburst. The finish was made out of a thin coat of nitrocellulose lacquer. So the early Fender Stratocasters used a very thin lacquer, which means that the guitar was able to breathe more and resonate more freely. As this finish is very low wearing, obviously it picked up a lot of dents, a lot of sanding marks, a lot of kind of playing wear during its life. So each Fender Stratocaster from this era will have its own distinct personality and look. Now let's have a little bit of a chat about the pickups and electronics. So the 1961 Stratocasters were equipped with 3 single-coil pickups, each offering the classic bright bell-like tones that the Strat is famous for. So in comparison to the 50s Strat pickups, 60s pickups have a little bit more zing to them. They're a little bit more alive, have a little bit more output, whereas a 50s Strat pickup is a little bit more mellow, a little bit lower output. Obviously, these pickups are very vintage voice, being kind of the original 60s pickups. Of course, in comparison to like the 70s and later humbuckers that came. So these are kind of the gold standard for Fender pickups, in my opinion. I love the sound of a 60s pickup. What's also important to note, which is a common misconception, is that these guitars actually came with a 3-way switch as opposed to a 5-way switch. So on paper, you wasn't actually able to get the positions 2 and 4. However, if your switch is fresh enough, you should be able to kind of, knock it in between the 2 settings and be able to get a position 2 and 4. You'll see that in today's demo. This guitar can still do them sounds. The 5-way switch was actually introduced after CBS owned Fender, which is quite surprising to some people. I didn't know that until I read that today. Of course, other than that, it's a pretty standard Strat specifications. So you have a 3-ply guide on this one, white, black, white, which you see on all 60 Stratocasters. We have the Fender Stratocaster Tremolo, which is a 6-screw tremolo design. Going on to the headstock, you had the smaller headstock in the 60s, but we had the introduction of the spaghetti logo. And then we have the 6-in-line vintage style tuners, which I believe were made by Kluson, and then you have the 1-string tree. It's important to note as well that this guitar has been refretted and has had a bone nut replacement. Also, the body has been redoweled and drilled for the Strat buttons, so they're nice and secure. I have to say this guitar played amazingly, just like a modern guitar, and has been set up to perfection. So that's all the specs of this pre-CBS 1961 Fender Stratocaster. So without further ado, let's plug it into the mystery amplifier, which we can't disclose the amp brand just yet, and let's see how she sounds. So now it's time to hear the tones of this 1961 Fender Stratocaster. It looks the part, it's a beautiful looking piece from 1961, but how does it sound? I have to say it's a very nice guitar to play, it's been set up to perfection, and in today's episode we're using a mystery amplifier which we can't disclose the brand of, but it sounds pretty amazing. So without further ado, let's get started on the neck pickup clean tone. Going to kick on the venue ramp now. Is incredible. This amp sounds incredible, but obviously this isn't just such a privilege to play this guitar. Really reminds me of like John Frusciante's Stratocaster. As I said, it's set up really nicely. The frets are nice and thick. It's nice low action, very playable, feels like a modern guitar, but obviously it is the real thing, so the pickups sound incredible. This guitar has a 3-way switch. In the 60s they hadn't switched to the 5-way switch yet, so we have technically 3 positions, but you can kind of wedge the switch in between, but for the time being I'm going to use position 2, which is the middle pickup. I'm just going to turn off the gain pedal I had on, so let's hear it. Finally, the bridge pickup. mentioned previously, this is a three-way switch, but you can get some kind of in-between tones. So if I position the switch just between the neck and the middle, you can get a slightly kind of, you know, positions 2 and 4 sound. So let's hear it. Very nice, and let's try and position it between the bridge and the middle. Hope we get a bit of a quacky tone. There we are. So just for fun now, whilst we're on the clean tone, I've just ramped up the reverb a little bit. We're using the Hall of Fame by TC Electronics, so let's hear what we can do with a little bit more reverb. Best tones I've ever got on this channel. Go to the bridge pickup with the same tone.
shred. It definitely still does. But this guitar is very easy to play. It's got really nice rolled edges. I did find on the high E there, it's quite easy to kind of slip that string off. But other than that, it is an incredible playing guitar. Feels amazing, and I'm really happy with the tone so far. So let's go to my final thoughts and personal review of this 61 Fender Stratocaster.
So guys, now we're at the end of the video. Before I get into my personal review and rating of this guitar, make sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of this pre-CBS 1961 Stratocaster. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. This really helps us gain more traction on these videos, which means bigger and better guitars, just like this one we had in today, in the future videos. And also, if you're new, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, it really helps us out. So obviously this guitar is going to get a 10 out of 10 for today. As you guys know, I'm not really that big of a Strat fan, but I have to say I really enjoyed playing this one. The neck shape was perfect, the tone through the mystery amplifier just sounded incredible. It's such a nuanced instrument, and also our mate really looks after these guitars. He has a luthier that, you know, has refretted it and made sure it's playing really nicely. So these guitars play like modern instruments, but have that cool kind of aspect of being rare and also vintage. The main thing I noticed was just how well this guitar resonated. I always feel like when I play a Stratocaster, I'm not necessarily comfortable, but I was comfortable on this Strat for some reason. There was no buzzing on this guitar at all. I do notice on quite a lot of Strats that you'll find that there's a buzzing or a fret kind of noise when you play them. But yeah, that is my review today, 10 out of 10 for the pre-CBS Fender Stratocaster. If you own any vintage Fenders, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about them. But that is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very shortly. My name is Ben Keightley, and that leaves me with one last thing to say. Keep rocking, guys. I'll see you soon.